But first, let's go to the major backlash today to the news that 200 pubs across the country threatened to ban Australia Day celebrations. The owners, a private equity firm based in Asia, claimed our National Day caused sadness and hurt. Well, this was outrageous. You don't boycott our National Day. It's the fastest way ever to kill off business. And the company had to learn this the hard way when they were forced to backtrack this evening and issue a grovelling apology to customers. And their backflip came after premiers and politicians blasted their woke decision.
Countries need national days. They genuinely need them. We need a sense of common purpose. I don't think it's what the majority of people in the state or the country agree with, and I also think that there has to be a sense of national occasion.
So I've participated in many Australia Day events over decades, and I plan to continue into the years ahead.
From the government's perspective, it's our national day, and it's the day we come together.
We had the voice. It was absolutely resoundingly defeated, and a lot of that defeat was driven by Indigenous Australians saying, absolutely, we don't want to be treated differently. And they celebrate Australia Day, many of them, in the same sort of way as non-Indigenous Australians.
And many commentators said the only way to react to this proposed ban was to boycott the pubs.
Avoid them like the plague. We have a stack of hotels right across the country wanting to be part of Australia Day. Go to them instead. The pubs owned by this group should become a patron-free zone.
There are plenty of other pubs that you can go and buy a beer at on Australia Day if these pubs don't want to celebrate Australia Day.
And Indigenous Australians weren't happy about this either. Warren Mundine will be on my show tonight, while an Indigenous elder, Ian Hunter, said that he and his family and friends in remote communities like to celebrate Australia Day. They have barbecues. He said it's the urban lefties, the white people, that are pushing for this, and he called it condescending. In fact, there was so much backlash, mostly from punters, that the Australia Venue Co, by this evening, had apologised and reversed their decision. Releasing a statement, the company said, "We sincerely regret that our purpose is to reinforce community in our venues, not divide it. It is not for us to tell anyone whether or how to celebrate Australia Day." They said whether you choose to celebrate Australia Day or not, everyone is welcome in our pubs always. Well, they've been forced to backtrack, but there's no question their original boycott was a deliberate decision. And Chris Kenny pointed out earlier, all the other days that this company boasts about celebrating in a clear case of virtue signalling.
You can see that Australian Venue Company does like to celebrate some days. There's Big Gay Day, they celebrate that. There's a picture there too for Plant a Tree Day. Also, they're trumpeting how they celebrate Wear It Purple Day. And a similar day, they have LGBTQIA Plus Day. There's also NAIDOC Week celebrated for Indigenous Australians, of course. And there's International Women's Day. They celebrate all these days, and they are all good days, to be sure. But apparently there are 200 pubs and bars in Australia now who have time for all of those days, but no time for our National Day.
Well said. And this company may have reversed their ban, but the damage has been done. When Australians are looking for somewhere to celebrate on January 26, they'll likely avoid these 200 venues. And the company owns 57 pubs in Victoria, 10 in New South Wales, 20 in South Australia, 90 in Queensland. The list goes on, but in New South Wales, two of their biggest ones are Bungalow 8 and Cargo in Sydney. In Brisbane, there's the Port Office Hotel and the Regatta Hotel. In Melbourne, there's the Esplanade Hotel and Prince of Wales in St Kilda, the Duke of Wellington and Garden State Hotel in Melbourne. And if you want the full list, it's up on our Sky News website. But this is part of a trend now of corporates trying to cancel our National Day. It follows Woolworths refusing to sell Australia Day merchandise earlier this year. And as you'll recall, about 80 councils changed the date of Australia Day citizenship ceremonies. Now, Australia Day isn't about denying our history warts and all. It's about being grateful for the country we live in. But there's this trend pushed by activist groups and embraced by corporate Australia of trying to turn our National Day and our Australian flag and everything it stands for into a symbol of shame. They're trying to make Australians feel guilty about celebrating our country. They're trying to bully us into being ashamed of our National Day. And the majority of Australians don't want to change the date. An IPA poll earlier this year showed 63% want to keep Australia Day on January 26. I've personally always loved Australia Day. And don't we all have memories dating back decades of how we spent this one public holiday? Beach, barbecue, friends, family, cricket in the backyard and on TV, hot swims, rolling thunderstorms. Traditions passed down from one generation to the next. I love this sunburnt country, as Dorothy McKellar said. And there should be an Australia Day, a single day when we can celebrate this great nation of ours and how lucky we are to live here. But having said that, I do have to admit that this Australia Day will be hard. Our country is not its best self under the Albanese government. From the deepening cost of living crisis to the despicable rise in anti-Semitism, Australia, at the end of 2024, is sometimes not a country I recognise. It seems everything Albanese does as Prime Minister is only making life worse for Australians. We're pushing back at his radical changes, and his misinformation laws, thankfully, were voted down. But much of his Green Left agenda is being rolled out. And everyone is talking about it. Almost every person I speak to says that this is the worst government and the worst Prime Minister in Australia's history. Let's face it, our beautiful country is not what it was just a few short years ago, and not what it can be with proper leadership restored. I love this country, but it can be better. And so this Australia Day in early 2025 will be bittersweet. We'll celebrate all that we have, but we have to vow to fight to protect our country from those who seek to undermine our way of life and destroy our social cohesion. Those activists who found a friend in, of all people, the Prime Minister.